Okay, hello. My name is Liz Schaefer, and I am a private piano teacher in Maryland. And I'm here to talk today about things you can do over the summer to sort of prepare yourself for piano lessons next fall. A lot of piano teachers sort of go through this thing where we will teach August all the way to May, and then we just take off like teachers, which is fine. Some people can't afford to do that. I can't. I do have to teach over the summer. It's much more laid back, but we'll talk about the financial ramifications for that later on. But if in the summer, typically everyone's working less, I suppose, if you're a teacher. I say less because you're still working, and you should be. You should always be trying to improve your studio. You should always be trying to improve yourself. You should always be coming up with new ideas, trying something new. You have to. If you're going to survive, if you're going to keep your students, you need to be improving all the time. And so I want to talk today really briefly about a few things you can do over the summer to help you prepare for next fall and become just a better piano studio and prepare your students better. Even if you're like, well, I'm not in this for the competitions, I'm not in this, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. You still have an obligation to your students and to yourself in a way to teach them as well as you possibly can. So the first thing that I want to talk about is books. You should be reading as much as possible. I like to try to aim for one book a month, which is about all I can manage, even if that's just a music theory book or it's a book that I might give my students. But I prefer to read things deliberately written for piano teachers. One of my favorites is a book called Questions and Answers by Frances Clark. She used to write a column for the Clavier Companion that just talked about, like, here's a problem my student's having, what do I do, And they basically took them all and put them in this book. And there is just so much good information here. It's crazy, all the way from how do I prepare for recitals, how do I teach my children to practice, how do I prepare them for a harder piece, what's the correct fingering for this. I mean, it's everything. This is so good. I use it as a reference. Oh, I don't know the answer to this problem. Let me look at it in here. It's generally in here. She's really, really, really good at answering questions concisely and just in a way that's like, oh, I totally get that. Okay, so that's one of them, and there's tons. And I will do a better review on music teacher books later if there's some interest in it. I have so many. You have no idea. The other one, I haven't actually finished this one. In fact, I just got it the other day. It's called The Savvy Music Teacher, and it talks about, obviously, blueprint for maximizing income and impact. It's the business end of music teaching, which is very important. I mean, I know every year I run into the issue of, oh, dang, I got to do taxes now. How much am I have to pay? So it talks about that, how to charge, how to find out what to charge, how to keep track of what you need to keep track of, what is a tax write-off, what is not. I mean, the music end of teaching piano is extremely complicated, especially for people who simply want to make music and teach other people how to make music. It's like, why do I have to keep track of that? You do. And if you're going to do everything correctly, you need to do it well. And he really, as far as I've read, I've only read like a chapter. As far as I can tell, he knows what he's talking about. I'll do a better review on that one. But this would be a good one to read over the summer. Maybe not while you're sitting on the beach, but And then lastly, The Independent Piano Teacher's Studio Handbook. Fantastic. I love this book. I have gone through and basically highlighted so much stuff talking about some of the similar things in Savvy Music Teacher. It's differently worded, and so sometimes it's like, I don't get it from here. Well, it makes more sense here. Things like, again, taxes, looking at your studio policy, how to word things, why you should mention certain things in your studio policy, like how are you going to word the missed lesson makeup policy. Personally, I don't give mixed makeup lessons for students who just randomly miss, and next year I'm going to stop letting them not pay. This year so far it's been, oh, you missed a lesson, just let me know in advance, you're not going to pay. This is going to become my income next year, like my entire income, so I'm not going to be able to allow that. How do I word that question, or how do I word that policy? Well, you need to do it correct so that there's no loopholes, And she talks about things like that. Your image is in here, recitals is in here, and then she also talks about just the basic theory and tons of links, really good stuff, okay? Fantastic. So books, reading. This summer, find at least one piano book to read, okay? And if you're like, I don't want to read about becoming a piano teacher, up on my shelf here, I have, well, you probably can't see it, but there's two books. The Art of the Piano and The Classical Style. Also Secret Lives of Famous Composers. I mean, there's tons of stuff you can read. Learn more about your craft. And if you're like, well, I don't want to learn more about teaching, I'm done teaching, learn more about the piano. It will make you a better teacher, and ultimately it will be better for your students. Okay, so reading is a very important thing you can do this summer. 2, if you haven't done so already, set up a studio website. Yes, you're going to need a web image, web presence rather is what I should have said. You need to have a way for people in your community to find you. And typically the internet is the way people go. And on that track, setting up a Facebook account for your studio and a Twitter account would not be a terrible thing. Facebook would be better than Twitter. With Facebook, you can connect to the local homeschool groups in your area, you can connect to the schools, you can advertise for free, because there I am. Tell your students about it, tell them to like you, tell them to share you on their page. I mean, it's been a long time since I've been on Facebook. I personally eschew social media, but I do need to set up a Facebook account for my studio. The other thing you can do is start scouting out music stores. Find the ones in your area you've never been to. There's a city about 25 minutes down the road from me. Apparently they have a fantastic music store. Never been to it. I want to go check that out this summer. There's also one called House of Musical Instruments, I think. It's about an hour away. I want to go check that out this summer. And I'm going to have time because what else am I doing, Only Monday. I think I'm only teaching Tuesday and Wednesday. Yeah, so it's like I have tons of time. I need to do better things with my time than just sit at home and watch TV. So I'm going to go check out the music store. Get connections that way. I'm on the line of getting connections. If you haven't joined your MTNA, do that. They set up tons of really great recitals throughout the year. My local branch has a water music festival in July, where your student just has to pay $5. First off, I think it's $5. At least it was last year. And then they play a song based on water. It could be like Rippling Water or The Pond or Raindrops or Snowflakes, anything to do with water. And then there's like a pool party associated with it. It's really cool, okay? But I would have never found out about it, and I would have never been able to participate if I hadn't joined my MTNA. They also have conferences at the end of the summer, and you can go. It was like $50 for me, which is a tax write-off. Spending money, like all these books, spending money on music is a tax write-off if you can keep track of it. Okay, so keep your receipts, write down what you spent. Get some training this summer. A lot of local schools will provide pedagogy programs for teachers who want to improve their skills. And you're like, well, I'm too good for that. You're probably not. Okay. On that note, take classes yourself. Find a piano teacher, all right? Keep in mind that you're not the best pianist out there, and you can benefit from somebody who plays better than you. I still take piano lessons, and I love them because it gives me somebody to talk to. This is a problem I'm having. Totally unique to me. It's the only one that's ever happened to, It's probably not true. But we talk, and that's also a tax write-off. Other things you can do if you haven't thought about it. What are new programs you're going to put into your studio next year? Are you going to have an in-studio contest? What about a newsletter? What about some fun little programs you can have your students do where it's not really based on performance? It's just, hey, you're going to learn all your skills and you get a special badge for that. Yeah, you. Okay. Do you want badges? Do you want to do stickers? Do you want a memorization club? Do you want to do group classes? Then you need to prep for that. Do that in the summer. Don't wait until the beginning of August where you have 2 weeks before classes start and you're like, oh, what am I going to do? Spend time improving your studio this summer. And I always like to come up with ideas early. I write them down and I go back to them in a couple weeks. And I'm like, okay, this is matured now. I have some better ideas. I write the new ideas down. And then gradually, of course, over the several weeks or months that I look at it, it becomes a solid idea. Instead of just, oh, I got to sketch something out real quick. Okay, this is what we're going to do. It never works out right. Okay, so come up with ideas early. So this summer, as a piano teacher, as a responsible piano teacher, you're going to read books. You are going to hopefully set up a website if you haven't done that already. Facebook and Twitter. Okay, Instagram, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I'm not sure how useful that is for piano teachers, since remember, if you're going to post pictures of your students online, you need to have parent permission. Don't just post pictures of people online if you don't have their permission. You're going to improve yourself by either taking lessons or going to classes or joining your MTNA so that you can participate in their programs like their conference, and then come up with better ideas for your studio. Always be improving. You have to keep moving forward. Never reach a place where you're like, I'm good enough, I'm done, because that's when you're going to start having issues. You've got to keep moving forward, okay? Always keep learning.